Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 13 of AutoCAD. Today, we're going to learn how to know the difference between paper space and model space, and between tiled viewports and paper space viewports. Know the purpose of a layout to prepare model space geometry for plotting. Know the guidelines for using layouts and viewports. Be able to create layouts using the layout wizard and the layout command. Know how to set up a layout for plotting using the page style manager and the page setup dialog box. Be able to use the options of Vports and be able to create control Vports in Paperspace and know how to scale the model geometry displayed in Paperspace and Viewport. So that's what we're going to be talking about on today's lesson. All right, so let's start. This is your model space, right? You guys know right here, model space. These are your two layout spaces that come with it. So that's your model space right here. Okay. So model space is used for construction. That's where you draw things. I drew all three of these on here. In the model space, you guys, this was one of your assignments. You remember it right here. So this is the model space. It looks like this. You can have your grids on and off. You can have your grid snaps, all that. All this stuff, you draw everything right here in model space. It is 1-to-1, which means it is real world size. In each model space viewport, you can control the scale and the area of the model geometry display, but all viewports display the same layers. So since there is only one model space in a drawing, you see the same model space geometry in each viewport initially. So if you go to viewport 1 or viewport 2, you would see the same geometry in them because there's only one geometry in the drawing. There's only one model space. You can't have multiple model spaces like you can have multiple viewports. The block notes and annotation, usually not indicating dimensions, should be created in paper space. So that's saying, for example, here you see I have some dimensions on this drawing right here. You can see them right here. I have those dimensions on the drawing. Those were created in here. As you can see, if you go back to the model space, they are not on the model space. They're just on the layout space. Title blocks, notes, or other annotations should be also created in paper space. So I've made a title block here, but you notice I haven't filled it out. When I get to the layout space, which by the way, this one is not tiled correctly right now. I was doing something else to show you. But if we go to this one here, and I bring in a viewport by typing vports. I want a single viewport. Roughly draw it in here. Okay, there you see is my paper space. I would label the text in here. So I would put it here, draw it, and write whatever I want to write in that space right there. And of course, you can move it around to fit in there accurately. So you would do that in your paper space, not in your model space, okay? So that's what that's saying. So the primary function of a layout is to prepare the model for printing. So this is what it would look like for printing, but this is not what I would want a print to look like, okay? It's got this grid in here. You can see the line of the viewport, which I don't like. So what I'm going to do is show you how to get rid of some of that stuff real quick, okay? So this is the difference between paper space and model space, obviously. If you're in model space, you can move the drawing around. If you're in paper space, you can do stuff to this. So we're going to go back to model space. And we're going to say we don't want this grid to show. So that turns that grid off. Now, that looks much better. Don't like the way those yellow lines look, but we're going to deal with it for now. Go back to my paper space. You see this? The viewport. It's nice, but I really don't want to see it. So it is on layer 0. So I'm going to go up here and turn off layer 0. And now you can see that that is gone. It's still there. It's just frozen or turned off. You can also freeze it. You turn it off. Let's see. Let's pick another one as our current layer so it doesn't give us that error. You can freeze it. Either way, turns it off. You can turn it off or you can freeze it. Either way, you don't have to see that viewport line. Makes your drawing look a lot cleaner. Now, when I go to print, right up here with the print command, I choose my drawing to PDF and preview it. That looks much cleaner. Now, obviously, I didn't lay it out on here correctly, but it shows you'd have your words in here, you'd have your drawing here, you'd have your stuff labeled. That looks a lot better than it did before. Okay, so that's sort of a quick tutorial, and we'll show you on this one some more stuff as well. So you notice, yeah. Unfreeze it to bring my dimensions back. Okay. All right, assume you have just completed your model space geometry, which would be this right here, and you activate a layout tab for the first time, and your drawing only shows a blank sheet. So that's what we had here. Let's go back to this, and let's delete that. All right, so you just have a blank sheet. There's nothing here. It's just a white sheet with nothing on it. As you can see, the layout, there's no layout, there's no viewports, there's no anything on there. In order to see your model geometry in the layout, you must use a viewport. If no viewport exists, you can create one. Type VPORTS. No N before it, Dieter. VPORTS. And there it is right there, viewports. All right, now here is all your viewport options. You can have a single viewport. You can have 2 vertical viewports. You can have 2 horizontal viewports. So this is for if we get into more advanced drawings where we have more than one part. You can have 3 to the right like that, 3 left, 3 above, 3 below, 3 vertical viewports, 3 horizontal viewports, or 4 equal viewports in there. So those are the ones that they currently have to offer. So we're going to go with just a single viewport, okay? And you notice when I bring it in, it wants me to know where to draw it. So I'm going to start right here. Again, I'm not drawing them accurately at the moment. I'm just drawing them in. And now there is our geometry showing up from model space. Both paper space viewports and model space viewports are created using vports. So you can also make one in here. This could be a viewport. So you could do vports. You could do a single vport. And apply to display. So that means it's going to apply to this right here. And since we already have it in there, it's going to be in the right place right there. So, but I don't never do viewports in the model space. I just do them in the paper space because it's really made for your layout and for what it's going to look like in the end. All right, floating viewports in a layout created with the vports command, our objects can be erased, moved, stretched, copied, scaled, or arrayed. So the term floating viewport is used because these viewports can be moved or resized to make any shape or size. Right, so right now in this one, you see the whole thing, but I can click on this viewport and I can say I want it to be resized to there. Now you see I can reshape it. I can do whatever I want to it. I can add points in it using the polyline command and reshape it. I can move it around. Anything you want to do, you can do to that viewport. If I want to just show part of it, I can move it around. So viewports can be reshaped, resized, and put where anywhere you want. So if you do just do one, you decide you want 3, you don't have to delete all this and start over. You can just shrink this down to the size you want it. And, you know, you could put it like, say, right up here. Then you could add another one here and another one here. So you can have as many as you want on there just by drawing them yourself. Why don't I do that instead of undoing? Okay. When plotting a layout, the plot, see, all right, let's move on to plotting. So that's a really quick, oh, one more thing I wanted to show you in viewports. So this is not how I want it to plot, like I said. So if I go to model space, I want to turn off the grid. That looks better. And then I take this, which is on the border layer. So I take this, cancel. Even I sometimes go quickly. All right. And turn off the border layer, turn off current layer. Now that border is gone. No, it wasn't. All right, hang on. Okay, so let's get out here. Make send our regular one. Let's turn off border. And 0. 0 turns off the rest of it. So they're all on 0 right now, which is a problem. They're supposed to be on something else. So sorry about that. Oh, I just got rid of that. Okay, let's undo everything I did there. Let's try that again. All right. So you go here. It should be on the layer 0, I believe. It says border for some reason. See what happens if I turn off the 0 layer. Those numbers are on the 0 layer. That's on the border layer. There we go. There we go. Okay. I must have messed something up. And then turn off the grid. And you can get all that going. And now you just have a nice clean drawing to look at right here of this part. So all that stuff can be turned on and off. That was a poor example. Sorry about that, but all that stuff can be turned on and off. All right, in order to plot, we're going on to plotting. When plotting, so plotting is this button right here. Click on that, it brings up your plot settings. We are always going to plot DWG to PDF right here, DWG to PDF. We're going to plot the layout. So if you preview it, that's a nice clean sheet of paper with that layout on it. Then over here in the other layout, we have this one. I could do the same thing. We're zoomed in kind of weird right now, so I would probably turn back on the border, delete it, and then redo a viewport correctly. A single viewport. Okay. Draw it in here. Now we've got the whole thing we want. So I would go into the model space, turn off the grid, come out, click on this. Turn that off, but that turns off the whole thing. So I would want to move, first of all, this outside border. I want to make it 0 instead of border so that I could just turn that off. So click on that, turn off 0, and now you only see the paper space right here so that when I were to plot it, you can see right here, you just have what you want to see. Makes it look much nicer. Again, I'm going through this quick because we need to not have a 30-minute video again. All right, when you activate a layout tab for the first time, the AutoCAD automatically sets up the size of the layout limits. So that's like you see here, when I set up that viewport, it had it the right size for what we were doing. By activating a layout, you automatically switch to paper space. So this is your paper space. If you click on that, now it says model space. You click on that, it goes back to paper space. So when you double click inside, you go inside the viewport, you are now working in the model space, and it tells you that right here. Now you're working in the paper space, so you can't select or do anything to your drawing parts. You can only select the outside stuff, which on this, we've turned it off, so you can't select that either. But if I turn it back on, you can select the model space, the viewport to move around and do stuff to. But if you turn it off like I did, then that's gone, and you can't really do anything to this except put your text in there that you need to, label your drawings, all that kind of stuff. Assume a layout tab is active and the cursor is in the paper space. You can place the cursor inside an existing viewport by all of the following methods except select viewports from the view pull down menu. There's a layout wizard that helps you set all this stuff out. So you see when I started typing layout wizard, it's right here. So I can make a new layout. I can pick anything I want here. AutoCAD, PDF, next. The size, these are all the different AutoCAD sizes if you want to go through and look at them. I'm not going to look at all of them right now. We'll just do 11.5 by 8 because that's the easiest one in inches. Next, orientation, portrait, we'll do landscape. That's normally what you do with a drawing. You can do a title block, a pre-made title block. Next, we'll use a single viewport. You can pick location. Now you see that's way too big. So we'll go from here to here and finish. There's where it is. This is not an 8.5 by 11, but that's okay because we can scale it down later. But you can see this is its own. It's got revision notes and things for an architectural template. You can put that in, or you can do your own like we've been doing, which is probably how we'll do it in this class. But you see now I've made layout 3. All right, to plot, like I said, you go to your layout. We'll go to layout 1 where I have some things labeled. If I turn 0 back on, there we go. So since we don't have the border on this one, let's turn off border. All right, so there you go. This is all this one's going to look like. I just have the picture on it. We'll say this button right here, or you can type plot. So you can either click the button or type plot. Again, we'll always go down here to this DWG to PDF. When we go to plot drawings, preview, that's what we want it to look like. And then you say, okay. And they ask you where you want to save it. I'm going to go to chapter 13, which I don't have yet. So I'm just going to save it in here and we're going to call it example. Maybe if I can type. Save. Now it'll pop up and show you what it looks like as a PDF. So this is now our PDF of the example that I did. Okay. So that's how to do that. All right, you can import a user-defined page setup from another drawing into a current drawing using the p setup in command. So p setup in. But since we don't have any other ones right now, then we don't need to do that. But later we can bring in different model spaces using that command. So p setup in. If you want to delete a paper space viewport, which I've already showed you, you click on it and you could just use the erase command and it's all gone. Or you can hit the delete key on your keyboard. But the erase command, probably the best way to do it right up here. If the layout tab is active and you use VP Max, so let's try that, VP Max, then it brings up the model space inside that paper space for you. So now you can do stuff, move around in the model space. And then when you're ready, you just hit escape and you can go back. It removes all the paper space and just shows that. So, all right, I think that's all we're going to show you for this week. If you have any more questions on viewports and all that, which I'm sure you will while you're doing your assignment, let me know and we will answer whatever questions we can for you between me and Mr. Farmer. Thank you guys very much and have a great day.